The Carolinas are no strangers to nature's wrath. Year after year they brace themselves for the inevitable onslaught of hurricane season. Hurricane season brings a familiar dread, a sense of foreboding that hangs heavy in the air as dark clouds gather on the horizon. This year, like many before, brought powerful storms, leaving destruction in their wake. Streets turned into rivers and neighborhoods were unrecognizable. North Carolina and Georgia faced torrential rains and howling winds. The relentless force of nature showed no mercy, battering everything in its path. Homes were reduced to rubble, businesses were destroyed, lives were lost. The community was left to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives. The smell of damp decay lingered in the air, a constant reminder of the devastation that had occurred. Waterlogged belongings lay strewn across once cozy living rooms. It was a stark reminder of the long road to recovery ahead. Cleanup efforts began almost immediately, but the scale of the damage was overwhelming. Families huddled in shelters, grappling with shock and loss. The sense of community was strong, but the pain of loss was palpable. The storm had passed, but the scars it left would take years to heal. Rebuilding would be a slow and arduous process. The need for immediate aid was critical. Volunteers and emergency services worked tirelessly to provide relief to those affected. People needed shelter, food, and medical attention. The community came together, showing resilience and solidarity in the face of adversity. Amidst the chaos, there were moments of hope. Children played in shelters and neighbors supported each other, proving that even in the darkest times, humanity shines through. The rebuilding efforts began, with construction crews working around the clock to restore homes and infrastructure. The road to recovery was long, but the spirit of the community remained unbroken. Community gatherings became a source of strength as people came together to share their stories and support one another. The resilience of the human spirit was on full display. As the sun set over the damaged landscape, there was a sense of hope and renewal. The journey to rebuild was just beginning, but the community was determined to rise from the ashes, stronger than ever before. In the face of disaster, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, is often the first line of defense. FEMA's mission is to help people before, during, and after disasters. They provide essential resources to those affected by hurricanes, floods, and other emergencies.
FEMA's immediate response includes search and rescue operations. They also provide temporary shelter, food, and water. In the long term, FEMA offers financial assistance for housing repairs and rebuilding. They also help communities become more resilient to future disasters. The agency's work is crucial in helping communities get back on their feet.
Despite its critical role, FEMA has faced significant funding challenges in recent years. Congress has repeatedly cut FEMA's budget. This has left the agency stretched thin and struggling to meet the growing demands of increasingly frequent and severe disasters.
The lack of adequate funding has real-world consequences. It means fewer resources are available to help communities prepare for and recover from disasters. This puts lives at risk and slows down the recovery process. The funding crisis has left FEMA ill-equipped to handle the magnitude of the recent hurricanes.
The funding shortages have a direct impact on hurricane victims. Delays in receiving aid are common. Many families are forced to live in damaged homes or in shelters for extended periods. The emotional toll of displacement and uncertainty adds to their burden.
Many struggle to rebuild their lives with limited financial assistance. The process of navigating FEMA's bureaucracy can be overwhelming, especially for those who have lost everything. The lack of adequate support exacerbates the trauma and hardship faced by hurricane victims. It highlights the urgent need for increased funding for FEMA.
Section 5. A political battleground: FEMA funding in the crossfire. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, is often caught in the middle of political debates, especially when it comes to funding. The agency's role is crucial in responding to natural disasters, but its budget is frequently a point of contention among lawmakers. FEMA's budget has become a political football. Every year, as natural disasters become more frequent and severe, the need for adequate funding grows. However, the allocation of these funds is often influenced by political agendas and partisan battles. Disasters often expose the partisan divide in Washington. When hurricanes, wildfires, or floods strike, the immediate need for relief and recovery resources becomes apparent. Yet the process of securing these resources is anything but straightforward.
Some lawmakers prioritize disaster relief funding, recognizing the urgency of the situation. They visit affected areas, hold press conferences, and push for immediate action to support their constituents and communities in need. Others are reluctant to allocate additional funds. They argue that increasing FEMA's budget without addressing broader fiscal issues is irresponsible. They cite concerns about government spending and the national debt. These lawmakers believe that fiscal responsibility should not be overlooked, even in the face of natural disasters.
This political gridlock has real consequences for people on the ground. When funding is delayed or reduced, the impact is felt most acutely by those who have lost their homes, their livelihoods, and even their loved ones. It delays the delivery of vital aid and hinders the recovery process. Emergency responders and volunteers work tirelessly to provide assistance, but their efforts are often hampered by the lack of resources. The politicization of disaster relief undermines FEMA's ability to effectively serve those in need. The agency's mission is to help communities recover and rebuild, but political interference can make this mission difficult to achieve. It underscores the need for a more compassionate and bipartisan approach to disaster funding. By setting aside political differences and focusing on the common goal of helping those affected by disasters, lawmakers can ensure that FEMA has the resources it needs to respond swiftly and effectively. Section 6. Local Heroes. Communities rising to the challenge. In the face of adversity, the human spirit shines through. While FEMA struggles to meet the overwhelming need, local communities in North Carolina and Georgia have stepped up to fill the gaps.
Neighbors are helping neighbors. Volunteers are pouring in from all over the country.
Churches are providing shelter and meals. Community organizations are distributing essential supplies.
These acts of kindness and solidarity are a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. They provide a beacon of hope in the midst of devastation.
Section 7. A glimmer of hope, the power of collective action. The outpouring of support from local communities highlights a crucial truth. In times of crisis, the strength of our collective spirit shines through. We are not alone in the face of disaster. When hurricanes strike, they leave behind a trail of destruction, but they also reveal the resilience and compassion of humanity.
The power of collective action can make a real difference in the lives of those affected by hurricanes. It's in these moments that we see the best of humanity, as people come together to support one another. Every donation, no matter how small, can help provide food, shelter, and hope to those who need it most. From canned goods to warm blankets, each item can bring comfort to someone in need.
Volunteering time and skills can help rebuild homes and communities. Skilled labor, such as carpentry and plumbing, is invaluable in the aftermath of a hurricane. Even unskilled labor, like clearing debris, plays a crucial role in recovery. Spreading awareness about the plight of hurricane victims can galvanize support and resources. Social media campaigns, community events, and word of mouth can all help to mobilize aid and bring attention to those in need. Together, we can be a force for good. By uniting our efforts, we can overcome the challenges posed by natural disasters and help rebuild lives and communities. The power of collective action is a testament to the strength and resilience of the human spirit.
Navigating the FEMA aid application process can be daunting. The forms are lengthy and complex. The requirements for eligibility can be confusing.
Many survivors, already overwhelmed by loss, struggle to understand the process. They may miss out on crucial assistance.
Community organizations are stepping in to bridge this gap. They offer guidance on filling out applications, understanding eligibility criteria, and appealing denied claims. These organizations play a vital role in ensuring that survivors receive the aid they desperately need.
The road to recovery after a hurricane is long and arduous. Rebuilding homes and businesses takes time, money, and immense effort. The emotional toll of loss and displacement can linger for years. Mental health services are crucial in helping survivors cope with trauma and rebuild their lives. Long-term recovery also requires addressing the root causes of vulnerability. This includes investing in infrastructure improvements, strengthening building codes, and promoting sustainable land use practices. The suffering caused by inadequate disaster relief funding is preventable. We must urge our elected officials to prioritize FEMA funding. Contact your representatives and demand they support increased budget allocations for disaster preparedness and response. Advocate for policies that prioritize the needs of disaster victims. Support organizations working on the ground to provide aid and long-term recovery support. Our voices, when united, can create meaningful change. Hurricanes are a fact of life in coastal regions. As climate change intensifies, these storms are becoming more frequent and severe. We must prioritize building more resilient communities. This means investing in infrastructure improvements that can withstand extreme weather events. It also means promoting sustainable land use practices that reduce the risk of flooding and erosion. By taking proactive steps, we can mitigate the impact of future disasters and protect the lives and livelihoods of our communities.